It is 11 o'clock. It is the 17th day of December, and Vlogmas, it is Thursday. And hold on to your hats. Get it? We're in for a grumpy ride because I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming. The OGGM, continuing our end of the year series reflections of looking back at the best D&D stories I have personally experienced and sharing them with you. Well, I mean, not necessarily all D&D, though most of them are D&D. There are a few that aren't, but yeah. So, last time, I related the story, the infamous story of Roger and the Fireball, possibly the single best experience I've had as a DM. Now I think it's time to switch the table and relate possibly one of the 5 best, if not the 2 best, single experiences I've had as a player, where I ran with something just to see how far it would go, and ended up just totally, completely making an awesome character and totally changing the direction of the game purely out of just sheer happenstance and coincidence. So let's just set the stage. Let's turn the Wayback Machine very far back to the early 2000s. One of the very first games I played in when I moved up to Ventura, California, was a high-powered D&D game run by Seth Bradley. Now, I had been told it was a really high-powered game. I think we were playing under 2nd edition rules, maybe 3rd, I don't remember. Plus a lot of home brewing that Mr. Bradley did. A lot of home brewing. This home brewing will play a part in the way the story's going, so pay attention to that. A lot of home brewing. It was D&D only by name, but it was really just sort of this crazy fantasy mishmash power game. Anyways. So I went into the game under the assumption that weird crap was going to happen. Everybody was playing really bizarrely powerful characters. I didn't really realize how powerful characters, but I listened to everything I had, and I was like, you know what? 3rd edition? Yeah, I think 3rd edition. I'll just play a monk. I'll just get as simple as possible, and that way, I don't have to worry about spells or magic or whatever. If you guys give me stuff, great. If not, I can still survive on my own. This is back in late 2nd, 3rd edition where we had the vows, and I was like, I could just take a vow of poverty. Look at all the crap that gives me, so I don't really have to worry about gear. I can just play this character, and whatever happens, happens. So this character's name was Pike, Magnus Pike, I believe. Monk. Played him for 1 or 2 games, where I slowly began to realize just how powerful the power level is. For one of the other players, I believe his name was Josh? I don't remember. He was playing a Thrykin sorcerer. So already we were having races from, Eberron and, early Eberron, Dark Sun, Thrykin, with these multi-limbed insect people. So he had figured out by playing a Thrykin, he could get 4 attacks around. So he was playing sort of a sorcerer monk. I thought I was going to be the only monk in the game. But he was like, I'd get 6 attacks around. I was like, oh, Jesus, okay. And also, there was a deck of many things. And this was a very unusual deck of many things because the DM had written up his own rules for every single card. Not just the face cards like in the normal deck of many things, but like the 2 of clubs he had written up. The 7 of diamonds, he had it. So he had this very large table. And the deck of many things apparently didn't run out. So you could draw from it, and then the cards would just automatically go back in the deck so they could be drawn again. Unlike, the other, which, I don't remember if each individual could draw more than once, but I definitely knew cards recycled back into the deck. So the deck of many things, really early on to the campaign, was offered to my monk. And the way I was playing my monk was just, didn't need anything, didn't want to change anything about himself, trying to be I know I'm in this very high powerful world, and now I'm beginning to realize just how powerful it is when you're getting 4 attacks around and just tossing out cards from the deck of many things like it's nothing, and they're trying to experiment with potions so they can roll on the a potion mishap table from the old DM's guide. Just ridiculousness, and they keep bringing in things from other books and splat books and online. Something like one of them had like an astral symbiote because they'd found it in some obscure D&D book. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm this monk. I'm probably gonna take vow of poverty because it's pretty broken, and it fits with the character I'm playing. And no, my monk would never draw from the deck of many things secretly as Mike. I'm like, of course I want to draw from the deck of many things because it's going to give me more power, and I see how powerful you guys are, but yeah, no. That would go against my training. So the game progresses. We're about 3-4 games in. We get in a situation where we are faced in a situation where just despite all the power level of these various characters, we're still in a situation where we have to run and we have to rethink because just our hit it really hard and then just pick up the remains. Standard operating procedure of this group finally ran into one of the few situations where their Monty Hall broken characters were at a loss, so they were running, and we got into sort of this series of we found a secret door and a secret zigzaggy passageway where we could only go in one in at a time. We were honeycombed one on top of another, trying to get into this weird little secret door thing and work our way through and try and escape this mass of just rolling damage that was chasing us. So another one of the players is playing a Minotaur against to show you the power level of this game. This guy had a 24 strength, and he was kind of been very antagonistic to everybody at the table, especially me because I was a new player and I was coming in, and he was like, oh, look what I can do that you can't. So my character, my monk, had just gotten into the situation. He was kind of trying to be lawful good and let everybody else get first. I figured I can take it, my armor class and whatever. My ridiculous monk saves, and I was just starting my vow of poverty. So, and then for some reason, he asked the DM, can I kick Mike's character? And we're all like, why would you do that? And he's like, well, 1, just to make you go faster. 2, just to see if I can. So the DM's like, I'm like, no, don't kick me. And the DM's like, well, I can't stop you. So he kicks my character. And basically his goal was to see, could he kill me? And he did. He kicked my character and did so much damage with his strength and everything that I was basically dead. I got a death saving throw. I failed the death saving throw. I was there was acid that I think my body was sinking in. I was fucked up. So they're grabbing my body and they're running, and we're all like, why the fuck did you do that, dude? And he's kind of like, I just wanted to see if I could. And I'm like, well, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, dude, if I get another character in this game, yeah, it's on. Because this guy just totally went out of his way to make it antagonistic. So we get to a rest point. Of course, the party has the choice to resurrect me or reincarnate me. And they all agree, let's reincarnate him. It'll be funnier. And I'm like, yeah, sure, reincarnate me. I'll come back as a bear or something. It'll be hilarious because we're using this bizarre table he had for reincarnation too. So on his reincarnation, not only did you roll for what your reincarnated was race-wise, but you had to roll for your gender and how much of your past life you remembered, which is actually a rule I like. And I have cribbed from time to time when people are resurrecting and stuff. It's like, well, just how much of your past life do you remember? So I got reincarnated from a male human monk to a female human. Then we rolled to see how much of my past life I remembered. And I rolled pretty low. So I didn't remember a lot of the previous character's past life. I just knew that as this naked female formless character is standing there, she's looking down and she sees a dead body and she knows she has some connection to this dead body, and it kind of looks like what I think I look like. I have some vague recollection that I'm somehow connected to this, and and then I'm like, it's my brother, right? That I'm his sister, it's my brother. I'm looking at my brother's dead body, right? And they're like, oh, okay, because I didn't remember that it was me. So I ran with it. I ran that this was my brother who had been killed, and I had just been with these guys. I didn't really know why my character was naked, but whatever. I ran into a closet. I just stole some clothes that was in the closet, and I ran with it. But on the other hand, while the previous character was all about, I'm not going to take any power, this character, I decided, was going to be the exact opposite. It's like, how much power can I get in this game? So I'm like, Sure, I'll draw from the deck of many things. And the first thing I get is the alignment shift. So now my character goes from lawful good, female, human, maybe monk, to chaotic evil. Because, the opposite of lawful good is chaotic evil. Female, human. And I decide, well, I guess I'll be an assassin then, since I'm chaotic evil and I'm this really hot chick. And, I'll manipulate the politics of the world. So the rest of the campaign was me slowly playing this very, seductive, stereotype female, marrying her way into political positions, like she seduced and married the admiral of the Navy, then arranged for him to have an accident. And meanwhile, I'm slowly trying to discover what happened to my brother and how he died. And it comes to me through another player's character, that the Minotaur had killed him. So now my female assassin, monk, whatever she is, who's slowly building her power base and gathering up magic items and messing around with deck of many things and psychic surgeries and, whatever, all this other weird shit, making a clone of herself that's her daughter, marrying her way up the political food chain, discovers that the Minotaur had killed her brother simply because he could. So the rest of that campaign was all about me, while adventuring with them, also working to destroy the Minotaur and the rest of the party because they allowed him to kill my brother. I wasn't directly working against them. There was no violence involved. It was just more like me manipulating events, talking to people, finding secrets about them, discovering their weaknesses, making them think I could do things that they weren't sure whether I could actually do them or not, because, the DM's just totally running with this as I'm getting them more and more scared of what my character could do. It's like, oh, yes, I've studied dim mock. I can touch you on 3 pressure points and instantly kill you. Or like I would break into their houses and leave little things to make them think I'd trap their houses. And so by the end of the game, they were totally, even though their characters were way more powerful than me still, my character by then was pretty powerful, both politically and just through magic and wishes and decks of many things and shit. Powerful, but obviously they were just way more powerful. But every one of these players was afraid that my character could at any time kill them, and there was nothing they could do about it. So they played that game for the next 2 or 3 months that it kept going on every week, until the game ended, totally scared to death of the character. And, I always wanted to get that scene between myself and the Minotaur, who, my character pretended she was the Minotaur's best friend and was always trying to help him and save him and give him stuff. Meanwhile, I'm planning my revenge because this Minotaur had killed my brother. I always wanted that final scene, that, it was I all along that, created your demise, Minotaur, because you killed my brother. And it was I all along that led to your doom, adventurers, because you let the Minotaur kill my brother. And nobody ever told me that, that was actually me reincarnated as his female. So because nobody ever told me, I played in character that the Minotaur had killed my brother. The rest of them had allowed it to happen. And from that point on, my female monk assassin, weird Gestalt class, was dedicating her life to avenging the death of her brother while increasing her power until the very last game, where everybody was afraid of my character without ever actually knowing whether I could or could not fulfill my threat. And when the game's over and we're all talking about it, and I'm like, at any point in time, any of you guys could have killed me. I had like 47 hit points compared to your guys' hundreds. And the amount of damage I could do is no way compared to the amount of damage the Thrykin could do or the Minotaur. But they were all scared of me. And I was always like hoping I could get that scene with the Minotaur as he's like clinging on to his last, life inch, going, yes, it was me all along, Minotaur. It was me. I never got it, but it's still a great Dungeons and Dragons story of how I took a bad situation and ran with it and made it amazing. I hope you appreciate this content. If you do, comment down below. And if you're planning on unsubscribing, let me know why, because I can't fix it if you don't tell me what's broken. And speaking of subscribing, please take a moment and subscribe to the OGGM Adventures. It can help me hit 250 subs by the end of this year, which is rapidly coming up. By subscribing, you know when the next OGGM adventure is posted, and it lets me know what you like and what direction you want to see the vlog go in 2021. Till next time, I will talk to you Power Gamers later.